record. So for people like me who are not an expert like
Right,
you,
right.
what does that mean?
Well, 10 years ago, if you can remember, the financial crisis was really in its deepest throes, and people were wondering how long this would continue, and there was a lot of stimulus undertaken by the Federal Reserve and the U.S. government. Fast forward 10 years, and we've actually been expanding that long. So the stock market is up, unemployment is pretty strong, record numbers of Americans are working, interest rates are still fairly low. So there's a lot of good economic news. The issue is this can't go on forever, and the $64,000 question, of course, is when will we begin to see some slowdowns? And we're beginning to see some data. Nothing urgent yet, but we could enjoy this while we can.
Okay. So as far as the how long will it last, that's still in the...
I wish I knew for sure, but we are seeing some data points, and we'll report on it.
Gotcha. So this is really important. I think we mentioned last week that we had some data breaches involving Quest and the LabCorp. And of course, we have a lot of buildings, or rather labs here involving those two entities. And so we're talking about medical ID theft that costs more than a regular ID theft, apparently.
That's what many viewers don't realize. So there's really two kinds of identity theft. There's the financial, which is what we report on a lot with credit cards and things like that. But then there's also healthcare ID theft. And the average American spends over $10,000 a year fixing this. And it could be things as simple as once a year you do have the ability, just like with your credit report, you can ask for your health report under the health laws. Contact your doctor, get your health records, because what could happen is not only can your financial strength be weakened, but your health. But what we've seen happen is somebody's health identity could be stolen, and next thing you know it, you're deemed a diabetic because somebody changes your records, they want the drugs, and then you go into the hospital, God forbid, and they can't treat you because they think you're a diabetic. So it's important to have those records looked at least twice a year, and hopefully you can spend less than $10,000 fixing any errors.
Yeah, and especially if you have an emergency and you can't communicate what's wrong with you or your medical issues are. Oh, okay, this one's very, very interesting. We were talking about there are actually more job openings than people who are looking for work. I feel like people who are looking for work right now, they can't believe that. It's hard to believe, but it is true. It
is true, and there's something called the JOLTS, the JOLTS, the Job Opening Labor Transfer Surveys. And what's happening is because the economy is so strong, the number of job openings out there actually exceeds the number of people looking for work. And actually people who are working, surveys are showing they're actually undertaking job searches. And a lot of companies are taking notice of this, and they're offering more benefits, paying down student loans, childcare. Disney just implemented a childcare program. So it's actually good if you're a worker who has, good habits and good skills. You're really in high demand. Over 7.5 million job openings are out there in the United States right now.
So the way to look at it is if you actually are very qualified, there are options there for you, and companies are willing to pay.
It's a buyer's market if you're qualified and you have a good resume and a good reputation.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Those are really interesting topics. Of course, Steve, we always love having you here. We'll be right back after this break.